Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Claudia, my middle name is Dora, and I recently started this channel Floradora to talk about my plants. So this video is the third in a 4-video series where I'm sorting all my plants into their Hogwarts houses. So today, if you can tell by the color of my eyeshadow, today is Slytherin. This house is really interesting because in my opinion, and it gets a pretty bad rap in the books and subsequently the movies too, just because of course not every person in Slytherin is evil. However, all the characters that are kind of central characters that are in Slytherin are antagonists. Draco Malfoy, Lucius Malfoy, Voldemort, obviously Tom Riddle, Crabbe, Goyle, Pansy Parkinson. I honestly wish in the books we could have seen a bit more of the normal culture of Slytherin. I know that a lot of the bullies in Harry's class were in Slytherin, but I think it would be interesting to see Slytherins that weren't very pure blood centric, because the traits of Slytherin don't necessitate that they're evil. Anyway, this is what the sorting hat says about Slytherin. Tongue twister. Or perhaps in Slytherin, you'll make your real friends. Those cunning folk use any means to achieve their ends. The founder of Slytherin was Salazar Slytherin. In the books, we see Snape as the head of the Slytherin house, Severus Snape. But we know that Horace Slughorn had been the head of Slytherin back when Tom Riddle was in school. Albus Severus Potter does get sorted into Slytherin. Bellatrix Lestrange, basically every single Death Eater. See, that's I feel like that's not fair, but it is what it is. We know that Peter Pettigrew, who ended up being vital to Voldemort coming back, was in Gryffindor. Umbridge was in Slytherin. The Bloody Baron is their ghost. Their common room is in the dungeons. Millicent Bulstrode, she's a cat lady just like me. The whole Black family except for Sirius. The whole Lestrange family, the whole Rosier family, Goyle family, Crabbe family, Knott family, Carrow family, blah 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 blah. Their mascot is the snake. The traits of Slytherin that we're going to be focusing on are resourcefulness, determination, pride, cunning, ambition, and self-preservation. So for resourcefulness, I chose my Hoya Publicalyx. This guy, good at using what I give him in terms of water and sunlight to put out the most growth that he possibly can. All of these slightly maroon leaves are the new growth. And also kind of funny, so Slytherin's colors are green and silver. I don't think I mentioned that before. And this is a green plant, obviously, but it is a silver splash. So it has these silver spots on the leaves. So it's very much Slytherin's colors, and then the new growth comes in. It's this dark burgundy brown color. Ever since I put this plant in a south-facing window, it's literally sent out crazy growth, and each growth point has 3 new leaves coming out of it. Next up, let's do Pride. So for Pride, I chose the variegated string of hearts. Absolutely beautiful. It's one of the plants I definitely bought into the hype for. It has this white variegation, and then if it gets a little more sun stressed, it gets pink tint. I have this guy right next to one of my UV lights, so when I can fold the leaves in half and they wrinkle in the middle, that is when I water them. I really do love this guy. I'm trying to propagate a couple of the leaves right now, so I'll let you know how it goes. Its Latin name is Ceropegia woodii. And it's pride because it's absolutely just like blowing up on all the Facebook buy sell trade pages, and its coloring is just amazing. Next up we have determination, and that is going to be, oh boy, come here big boy, a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. I've given this guy a moss pole. They can be vining or climbing. I like the vining look, but I'm gonna just see what this guy can do. I'm hoping that the upwards growth will encourage him to grow bigger leaves. I said this guy is determination is because he has so many new points of growth right now. He will climb. Like this guy actually, if you put him next to a wall, he'll start to cling on to the drywall. Like he is just so determined to live and grow higher and grow bigger. I love him for that. Also, the way it like is binding around this pole makes me think of a snake, which is obviously very Slytherin-y. I think this plant is just a great example of determination. Okay, next up we have cunning. This is my Scindaptus pictus argyraeus, or some people say argyraeus. It literally is so freaking long at this point. I have it up in my room, like trailing over doorways and stuff. It's kind of funny because before I knew plants too well, I put a cutting from an exotica in here thinking it was like the same plant but just with bigger leaves. Silly me. Anyway, this plant literally like climbs up and around my room. Whenever I cut propagations from it, it literally grows like 2 vines in the place of the one I last cut. It is so clever. Yeah, it's super easy to propagate. This is a little propagation container right now that I just have so many cuttings. The leaves itself are also Slytherin colors. Next trait up, we have ambition. This one is gonna go to my Cebu blue. I love this plant. It also reminds me of Slytherin's colors just because it is that beautiful dusty silver green, almost blue color. And I say determination because this guy was sent to me in the mail and it was a really tough journey for him and he wasn't doing too well at first, but now he's literally pushing out so many new baby leaves. Like all these tiny new leaves are new ones. I have it in front of a UV light right now and I water it only when it gets very dry. Look at this little aerial root right here. So fuzzy. Can't wait for it to be really big. I love the big pots of Cebu blue. Unfortunately, I don't have Lowe's around here, so I've never seen the Costa Farms big baskets of the Cebu blue available. I'm not crying. Every time I try to do eyeshadow, my eyes just really itch. Next trait we have self-preservation. Ow. And we see a lot of examples of this in the plant world, honestly, with just, you know, even Pilea peperomioides sending out extra babies. Jade plants, how they'll just pop roots out on certain areas of their stems, basically air layering themselves. You see a lot of this in like the succulent world, which is what I'm going to focus on today, just because these plants usually grow in places where they don't have many opportunities for life. There's not very much water. There's a lot of sun, which dries them out really quick. So they're constantly dropping these parts of themselves as opportunities to grow new plants. I still need to figure out the name for this. I think it is a succulent, even though it does look like a cactus. And look, it's just pushing out babies in hopes of self-preservation. So if the mama plant dies, it literally has like probably 60 opportunities for new growth. Another example of self-preservation within the succulent family that I have is just this little cutting. I think this might be part of a burrow's tail. Why aren't you focusing? Anyway, it has like basically a whole entire little baby coming off of it and roots coming out of it. It's an opportunity for a whole entire new plant, which is just so awesome, and I think like the perfect example of self-preservation in nature. So that's the end of our Slytherin class. Those are the plants that I chose. Thank you so much for watching. There's one more part to this series, which of course is Ravenclaw. Okay, so here is my Scindaptus pictus argyraeus, whatever, in action. As you can see, this is a place where I cut it and then it's split into 2 vines. I literally just have it draped all over everywhere. It's doing great. James Potter as pureblood was. Also, we know